Lara and Alex's relationship had been rocky for months, marked by misunderstandings and silent treatments. Finally, they broke up, and Lara was devastated, unsure of what went wrong. She spent the night crying, scrolling through old photos of them together. The next morning, her friend Sarah visited to comfort her, but Lara felt like she had lost a part of herself. The days that followed were difficult, with Lara struggling to focus on anything except the ache left by Alex's departure. Her friends tried to keep her busy, but their efforts felt empty. Lara couldn't help but wonder if she had made the right decision, but nothing felt clear. Lara threw herself into trying to move on, attending yoga classes, going out with friends, and even joining a book club. Yet, her mind kept wandering back to Alex, and she realized that moving on wasn't just about filling her schedule, it was about confronting her emotions. One afternoon, Lara unexpectedly ran into Alex at a cafe. The encounter was awkward, and though they exchanged pleasantries, there was a palpable tension between them. She noticed how different he looked, and as she walked away, she found herself more conflicted than ever. That night, her mind replayed the meeting, and she questioned if she still loved Alex. Deep down, she knew she had to move on, but it was hard to let go. Trying to distract herself, Lara redecorated her apartment and rediscovered her love for painting. She felt empowered as she reconnected with her own passions, but still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Soon, Lara learned that Alex was dating someone else, and jealousy and sadness hit her hard. She spent days comparing herself to the new woman, but deep inside, Lara realized that she hadn't fully moved on. Still, she vowed to do so, but the emotional conflict was overwhelming. Lara's struggle continued, and she realized that her feelings for Alex were still there. She felt torn between him and James, a friend who had been growing closer to her. James noticed her distractedness and gently asked her about it, but Lara felt guilty for comparing him to Alex. One day, Lara decided to meet Alex for closure. They sat down at their old cafe and discussed their relationship. Both acknowledged their mistakes without blame, and although there was a sense of relief, Lara also felt the sting of sadness. It was clear that they had both moved on. In the time that followed, Lara began spending more time with James. They went on hikes, attended art shows, and shared deep conversations. Slowly, Lara started to feel something for him. He was kind and patient, and his presence brought her peace. Still, she feared repeating the mistakes she had made with Alex. The confusion continued as Lara found herself torn between her feelings for Alex and the budding relationship with James. She wondered if she was settling for James, or if her feelings for him were genuine. One day, Alex reached out to Lara, expressing his regret over the breakup and his desire to fix things. Lara was caught off guard and felt the turmoil inside her grow. She decided to take some time away from both Alex and James, going on a solo trip to reflect. During this time, she realized that her heart had healed more than she thought, and she found a sense of peace she hadn't expected. Lara came to understand that she needed to choose what truly felt right for her. After returning from her trip, Lara felt more at peace with herself. She had embraced her independence, focusing on her career and rediscovering her hobbies. Though she wasn't fully over Alex, she no longer felt desperate for closure. She opened up to James about her feelings and the confusion she had been experiencing. James listened with understanding, and Lara's affection for him deepened. The time had come for Lara to let go of her past with Alex. She wrote him a final letter, thanking him for the good times and wishing him well. Alex responded with kindness, acknowledging that they both needed to move forward separately. Lara felt a sense of closure and knew that it was time to fully embrace her future with James. Their relationship blossomed, and Lara no longer compared James to Alex. She felt ready for the next chapter of her life, free of the past. Just when Lara thought she had everything figured out, Alex reappeared in her life. He was going through a tough time and reached out to her for support. Lara was conflicted. Should she help him or maintain the distance she had worked so hard to create? She helped him through his difficult time, but as she did, she realized that she no longer felt the same connection to him. The man he had become no longer matched the man she once loved. Lara felt compassion for him, but knew that her future was with someone else. Finally, Lara made her decision to fully move on from Alex. She committed herself to her relationship with James, recognizing that she deserved happiness and peace. Through her journey, Lara learned that true closure didn't come from someone else's actions, it came from within herself. She was ready to embrace the life ahead, free of the past, and focused on her future with James. Lara's soft smile reflected not just joy, but the profound peace that had taken root in her heart. The weight of her past seemed to dissolve in the radiant light surrounding them, as though the universe itself acknowledged her triumph over the shadows of doubt and pain. Her hand brushed James's briefly, a quiet promise shared between them, and she knew with unwavering certainty that she was ready to embrace the next chapter of her life, one filled with love, trust, and boundless possibilities. Under the soft glow of the moon, Lara and James sat on a weathered wooden bench, their fingers intertwined like they were made to fit together. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine, but the warmth between them was undeniable. "Lara," James began, his voice steady but laced with vulnerability, "you are not just my world, you are my compass, my anchor. I don't know where I'd be without you." Lara's eyes glistened, her heart swelling as she tightened her grip on his hand. "James, you make me feel seen, safe, and loved in a way I never thought possible. You are my home." Quote. Their words were tender yet powerful, weaving a tapestry of shared dreams and promises. In that moment, surrounded by the quiet serenity of the night, they both knew their love was as endless and enduring as the stars above. Few days to Lara's wedding ceremony. She sat by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass, her mind unwillingly drifting to a chapter of her life she thought she had buried. Memories of Alex flooded back, raw and vivid. She remembered standing at his doorstep that fateful evening, her voice trembling with desperation, as she begged him to reconsider their breakup. "Alex, please," she had pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "We can fix this. I love you too much to let it end like this." But his expression had been cold, devoid of the warmth she once cherished. His words, sharp and final, cut deeper than she thought possible. "Lara, it's over. I am done with this. Stop embarrassing yourself and leave," he had said, his tone laced with irritation. She recalled the way he had opened the door wider, motioning for her to leave as though she were a burden he could not wait to discard. When she hesitated, clinging to the hope that he might change his mind, he had taken her arm and ushered her out, slamming the door behind her without a second glance. The sting of rejection and humiliation was something she would never forget. Sitting there now, years later, Lara could not help but marvel at how far she had come. Though the memory still carried pain, it also reminded her of her strength, how she had picked herself up, found love in James, and created a life that proved she was worth far more than Alex had ever seen. The church bells chimed softly as guests filled the flower-adorned pews, their whispers blending with the sweet melody of a string quartet. Lara walked down the aisle, radiant in her lace gown that shimmered under the sunlight streaming through the stained glass windows. Her smile was bright, her eyes fixed on James, who stood at the altar looking dashing in his tailored suit, his love for her evident in his gaze. Every step she took toward him felt like the culmination of their journey, and the room seemed to hold its breath in reverence of the moment. Among the crowd, Alex sat at the far corner, his expression unreadable, but his heart heavy with a storm of emotions. As the ceremony progressed, James and Lara exchanged vows, their voices steady and filled with emotion. "You have shown me what true love is," James said, his voice trembling slightly, "and I promise to honor and cherish you for all the days of my life." Lara smiled through tears as she replied, "You are my heart, my soul, and my forever. I vow to stand by you through everything." The congregation erupted into applause as they kissed, sealing their vows. While the guests celebrated their union, Alex could not help but feel a pang of regret. He remembered the days he had with Lara, the love he had taken for granted, and the choices that had led them here, her in someone else's arms, happier than he had ever made her. As the couple exited the church to cheers and a cascade of flower petals, Alex lingered behind, watching them with a mix of sorrow and longing. He clutched the wedding invitation in his pocket, a painful reminder of what he had lost. "She deserved this," he muttered to himself, but the words did not ease the ache in his chest. Watching James take Lara's hand and lead her into their future, Alex realized too late that he had let go of the one person who truly mattered, and the regret was a shadow he knew would follow him forever. Later that day, Alex sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, a half-empty glass of whiskey in his hand as he scrolled through old photos on his phone. His mind was a whirlwind of memories and regret, and no matter how much he tried to drown it out, one thought remained. Lara, the woman he had once dismissed so easily, was now the one haunting him the most. Over the years, he had been through a string of relationships, each one starting with promise, but ending in bitter disappointment. The laughter, the shared dreams, and the fleeting moments of connection always seemed to fade, leaving behind nothing but an emptiness that grew with each breakup. He remembered how Sophie had left him after a heated argument, calling him emotionally unavailable. "You do not even know what you want, Alex," she had said, slamming the door on their 2-year relationship. Then there was Natalie, who had walked away, frustrated by his inability to fully commit. Each failed relationship felt like a crack in the facade he had built, and with every breakup, the realization that he had lost something irreplaceable in Lara became clearer. She had been the one person who saw him for who he was and loved him despite his flaws, yet he had let her slip away. The most painful moment came when he remembered Lara's wedding to James. The image of her radiant smile, the way she looked at James with love and contentment, was a stark contrast to the pain he felt. It was not just jealousy. It was the gnawing regret of knowing he had once been the one she looked at that way. "Why did not I see it then?" he muttered to himself, running a hand through his disheveled hair. The regret was like a shadow, growing darker and heater with every memory. Alex tried to move on, throwing himself into his work and meeting new people, but none of it filled the void. Every woman he dated seemed to lack the spark he had once felt with Lara. Their laughter did not sound as sweet, their touch did not feel as comforting, and their love did not feel as pure. He began to realize that it was not him, it was him. He had hardened himself after losing Lara, and now, no one could penetrate the walls he had built. The problem was not that the women were not good enough. It was that he could not open his heart again, not the way he had with her. As the years passed, Alex found himself replaying the day he had ended things with Lara over and over in his mind. He remembered her standing in his doorway, tears streaming down her face as she begged him to reconsider. He had been so cold, so dismissive, convinced he was making the right choice. But now, as he sat alone, surrounded by the echoes of his mistakes, he realized how wrong he had been. He had thrown away a love that was rare and genuine, and now, no matter how much he wanted to, he could not go back. Lara was gone, building a beautiful life with someone else, while he was left to live with the weight of his regrets. Moral lessons from the story. Cherish genuine love. The story teaches us to value and appreciate genuine love and connection when we have it. Alex's failure to recognize Lara's worth led to years of regret, showing the importance of not taking love for granted. The consequences of emotional immaturity. Alex's inability to commit and his dismissive attitude cost him a meaningful relationship. This highlights the need for emotional maturity and self-awareness in building lasting connections. Regret is a heavy burden. The story demonstrates how regret can weigh heavily on those who make impulsive decisions without considering their long-term impact. It's a reminder to think carefully before making choices that could affect our lives and others. Healing and moving on. Despite Alex's regrets, Lara's journey shows the power of healing and moving forward. She built a new, fulfilling life, proving that it's possible to overcome heartbreak and find happiness again. Actions have lasting consequences. The story underscores that the way we treat others, especially in moments of vulnerability, can have enduring effects. Alex's harsh actions toward Lara not only hurt her, but also left him with irreversible loss and self-reproach. Please subscribe for more stories.